Welcome to Sad Boys, a podcast about feelings and other things also. I'm Jarvis.
I'm Jordan. I have a statement.
What's the statement?
I have a statement to all of our you Euro freaks.
We were talking like before the show, and you were like, I'm going to save the xenophobic thing I have to say for the show. And I was like, you're okay, I guess.
Xenophobic, I guess, implies a
you like hate xenomorphs. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Can I say it? They call it the ultimate life form. The xenomorph kills people all the time. No. And we're supporting this thing?
I've got a pain in my chest about that. Is that what they do? No, it's Alien.
No, yeah, those are the xenomorphs.
Those are the xenomorphs. Boom. Did it again. This guy's seen a movie.
I don't know if this is controversial or not. I cannot abide by this using decimal points in place of commas and commas in place of decimal points.
Yeah, that throws me.
If I say like, I mean, what's the Swedish currency is called like garbles or something, right? 10.
That's the propaganda minister.
100,000 garbles has 2 periods in it and then a comma at the end. Sickening. What are we doing?
I also feel like the scientists have to get confused. Like they've got a code switch.
It's true to hang out with Europeans.
Yeah. It's like,
scientists have to code switch a lot because like metric and imperial and stuff like that.
But I mean, if you look at the amount of disasters that have happened when they forgot to do the switch, stop putting that on there. I mean, like it's tough.
You know what? Maybe it's because it's like low stakes and it's nice to get your fussiness out on things that ultimately don't matter, so you can maybe be a little bit more critical about things that are important. But I do constantly catch myself having like cultural biases, not necessarily just for like where I'm from or where I grew up, but mainly for like where I got comfortable with something. Like, I don't know if this is a common experience, but like growing up, we never talked about temperature like ever. Like it's hot or it isn't, or it's cold, or it's also England, so it's like raining or it's humid. But then I moved to the US and then it happened. We started talking about it. And now I'm a Fahrenheit Andy and I can't stand Celsius. It's too confusing to me.
Well, you just don't like the caffeine.
Hey, come on, right?
Hey, here's the thing.
Oh, no.
Not again.
Get his photo away from it.
I have like a framed photo. This episode of Sad Boys is sponsored by Hero Forge. Jordan's really excited about this.
Hero Forge offers tabletop miniatures with dozens of fantasy species and thousands of parts to choose from, all fully customizable within your browser.
Their miniatures come in a variety of materials like color plastic, acrylic standee, and bronze.
Hero Forge also offers downloadable model files for users to 3D print their unique designs at home. Very cool, which yours truly likes to do.
They are constantly expanding their catalog of customization options, adding new parts every week, and new major features like posing options and new species are added regularly.
They have a ton of really cool customization in the posing now, like little axes that you can twist and customize to kind of a ridiculous degree of detail. And you can make your child skeleton with an oversized miner cap and big gloves and a pickaxe. Here's an image of him. You can make him to all the specifications you want. It's like scary.
You can also get custom dice from Hero Forge. You can take any characters and bring them into their dice maker, scale them, rotate them, put them perfectly on your dice any way you want. You can also customize the color, size, number of the die, and the D20s are available in standard dice layout and in countdown layout for life counting or spin down varieties.
And with a Hero Forge Pro subscription, you get access to features like kit bashing, photo booth, community library, and more. You can design wild creations with the kit bashing, give them perfect mood lighting and backdrops and tasteful aesthetics with the photo booth tool. And then you can upload them to the community library if you want to share your incredible, goofy, crazy creations with other forgers.
Hero Forge Pro subscribers also get early access to weekly drops and folders to organize characters and items.
So visit heroforge.com to start designing your custom miniature and dice today.
I'm visiting heroforge.com today.
Okay, but then make sure to check back often because new content is added every week so that you can customize your miniatures and dice as much as you darn well please.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'll also use code SADBOYS for 5% off of all physical miniatures.
Are you serious?
I mean, it's not combinable with other sales or promotions, but yeah. Thanks to Hero Forge for sponsoring this episode. Especially Jordan, thanks to, because he's not shut up about it since we found out. How much do you know about the tech entrepreneur, billionaire, venture capitalist, Mark Andreessen?
Very little, but I'm familiar. Occasionally, he's very annoying.
Yeah.
But that's more because of that is literally his job, is to be annoying.
Well, here's the thing. So he is a billionaire. He is a...
I just got to say, for merit.
You know, at a time. It is one of those things where it's like you did something that was meritful.
Yep.
And then the rest of time continued.
Yeah, every second was a second long.
So he's one of the creators of Netscape, which is one of the first like web browser companies. So meaningful like contribution to the internet.
Big thing.
In the 90s.
Maybe not a billion. Maybe nothing is worth $1 billion, to be honest. Bit weird.
So here's the thing though. So he has a venture capital firm called Andreessen Horowitz with Ben Horowitz, who is another VC guy. And these are both people that in my past life as a tech professional, I bordering on idolized because they were like lions of the industry. And
I guess if you're not Catholic, you can't understand why the Pope's so cool.
Right.
But like, at one point in time, it's like, wow, he built something so big.
He's also famous for having a big pointy egghead.
Whoa. This looks like when Bryan Cranston came back to do the Breaking Bad movie, but didn't want to shave his head.
Yeah, I was
so
gonna say
put
this,
like a tall bald cap.
This looks like if Dr. Eggman shaved his mustache.
It looks like when anytime somebody dresses up as Northern Lion.
It's like if a Humpty Dumpty got an MBA.
Pre-crack.
How do we know this isn't a Men in Black situation? He actually has a little guy in there, and he's like Orion's belt.
Orion's
So Mark Andreessen is in, I wouldn't even say hot water. This is like, okay. Mark Andreessen was in lukewarm water.
Oh, okay. Like the end of a bath.
Like the end of a bath. And he, using his billionaire techno like ingenuity, has managed to turn that lukewarm water into scalding hot water.
Brilliant. Genius.
And that's
the accelerationist mindset right there.
And you're very familiar with how these like tech luminaries like to treat themselves as if they're the first person to have an idea.
Oh yeah.
And so this
there's actually some stuff you can eat inside the avocado.
So we're gonna watch. I actually don't eat the big rock in the middle.
You gotta look out. What you're gonna want to do is swallow the whole thing whole.
Yeah,
like an egghead.
It's got a shape like my head. Now that I think about it, I'm kind of like there's a bit in here. My brain is actually a big black stone seed.
It does. He has like Mojo Jojo's facial structure. His head structure keeps going. Maybe he is a genius.
It's Android 20. It's Dr. Shiro.
He's got extra.
He's got like a flesh. He's got like a piece of flesh tape over his exposed brain. Yeah. But anyway, we can watch this clip.
Normal head.
This is one of those podcasts that is you've never heard of it before, but it's like Brad Johnson interviews Barack Obama, and just like, oh, okay.
And then like the episode number is in the thumbnail. It's episode 9,000.
Yeah.
And every single one is the guy going like, but like, what if your computer was really, really big, and then but you still were able to get it home?
No, come on. Lex Friedman he's got a slightly deeper voice.
Oh yeah, that's right. A slightly deeper voice and less dynamic personality. I feel like that's a psyop. Anytime I see a Lex Friedman clip, I'm like, is this a joke? Like, is the joke that he's boring?
Is this the A16Z podcast? So this is like, to out myself, I remember like I interviewed at a couple of A16Z portfolio companies. You know, they were early investors in Facebook, OpenAI.
If it's anybody's first episode, those are things that Jarvis is still very heavily invested in emotionally and financially, and is a big fan of.
I'm mostly focused on like peptides and the path to AGI these days. But like
me personally, I'm more of an artist, so I'm largely focused on rehabilitating the image of comedians that rightfully got in trouble for being predators.
Yeah.
What I do is I bring them on and I say like, comedy doesn't matter if it offends people, you know? My friends, they're killers. They're fucking comedy assassins.
A takeaway just from looking at this page of the channel is that CEOs and billionaires look very normal.
So here's the thing, though, and it's interesting to look at something like this because a lot of these people are people who I genuinely respected for a lot of my like early career, like my late teens, early 20s, basically till I started to like kind of become a little spoiled on the tech industry in terms of from a cultural standpoint, and
And so
You don't know what you don't know.
Like I've read Ben Horowitz's book. I believe it's called The Hard Thing About Hard Things.
Yes. Oh my God, I've read his book, I guess.
Yeah,
I didn't know I'd read his book.
See, I've read Ben Horowitz's book.
So many of that exact hardcover in the Patreon office.
Oh yeah, but the thing is, like,
can build a table
it's
out
like
of it.
it's not saying that these people don't have anything of value to say. I think they've just been at the top for so long. They've been nothing but huffing the smoke out of their own ass. Yep. Like it's like they're just high on their own supply, and it starts to create this Ouroboros.
It's like if an athlete never retired, and then when they were clearly losing constantly because they're like in their 70s, they were like, something's wrong with this game. Something isn't right. This is actually the game's fault, and I'm going to explain to you why because I'm older. Also, can I just test a theory real quick? If you scroll up a little bit on this page, a little bit more. There was a thumbnail with Andrew Huberman in it. Keep going. I'll stop you. There he is. The peptide revolution. Okay, focus on his face for a second. Jacob, I want you to like scroll up and down really, really fast. Just like make it vibrate. Shia LaBeouf.
Oh.
Stop. Andrew Huberman.
Also, the other thing I was going to say is like, if you saw these thumbnails on an account called like The Enlightened Patriot or whatever.
Thinker is their profile picture.
Yeah, you would immediately go, these guys are, you know, they're selling snake oil. Yeah. But the only difference is these people are billionaires. Like they are extremely influential in some of the most influential tech companies. And tech has now, because of this, like we were gassing up tech for so long that and kind of so much speculative value that we've like minted this new like ruling class of billionaires that all come from the tech world.
Now the like country or the world at large is getting the same propaganda that we did when we were in the bubble. Getting the same pitch that this is the height of human intelligence, and if you wear Crocs instead of dress shoes, it increases your meeting proficiency by like 8.1%.
I realized I was skipping about every 10th heartbeat. So I had like an existential crisis because I'm like, all right, you know, I need to call 911. It's just like in my
This is the caffeine thing, which is our thing happens right after that, I think.
God, this guy shouldn't have. If this is his speaking pattern, he should not have caffeine.
It's Kermit the Frog with Adderall. It's Ray Romano. Ray Romano on 2x speed.
You said something that I love and I never hear other entrepreneurs talk about, but I think it's super important, that you don't have any levels of introspection.
Yes, zero, as little as possible.
There are so many things I want to...
It's a very introspective thought.
You have zero introspection. That cannot be true, first of all. But also, I do not think that they continue to talk about I do not think their introspection is the appropriate word for what they're about to talk about.
Yeah,
but
they kind of blend introspection with other stuff.
Yeah.
Why?
Move forward. Go.
Oh, careful.
Yeah, I don't know. I found people who dwell in the past get stuck in the past. It's just...
That's not what introspection is.
I
think he's talking about rumination.
Yeah. Or even guilt or like...
I think he's talking about thinking. Like, if he means no introspection, I mean, that's like a bug. A bug has no introspection and it just keeps going, right? Like it's raw instinct.
And that's what he wants. He wants to be the bug of Silicon Valley.
Yeah, he wants to be a bug.
The cockroach, the impossible to kill.
Just go. He's an ant. He's just going on instinct.
Can you imagine how good it feels to be a bumblebee and find a flower? You're getting the nectar and then you go back to the hive and the queen's like, bro, yes, nice. Kiss on the cheek,
go
out and get more.
The interesting thing is that like, this is the type of mindset that our society selects for in these sorts of, in sort of these positions of power or positions of extreme wealth. And for those people, they think they've won. They think that they've actually achieved the roll credits of life because
I'm holding the trophy.
Because I'm holding the trophy. And it's really interesting to think about like, I wouldn't trade my life for this billionaire's because I think they're fundamentally like one-dimensional and like sad.
It's
like it's
honestly,
sad life to me.
Does genuinely feel a little bit like, would you trade it with like a house cat?
Yeah.
Where it's like they're probably fulfilled, I guess, but their scope of the universe is so like they have access to everything, but their life and way of thinking is so narrow that they can't engage with it.
But the issue is, it's like if a house cat was 100 times the size, and you had to interface with that. The house cat was also inside of your parliament, inside of your Congress, and you had to interface with that. Yeah, you had to consult it.
You put down
it
two
doesn't
beds
speak the language you speak. It values like very different things, and it only wants like bigger litter boxes and more things to scratch.
Interesting. I guess that's good then, because the cat's really big, so it's probably right.
Yeah, and it's like if it moves suddenly, it could destroy. It's like a bull in a china shop.
A little bit like Tom Hanks from Big, but instead of a toy, it's like, you know, some website where you use your phone to scan someone's race. Mm-hmm. And it's like, it's always a company like that. And he's like, and then I will get a boat and I wouldn't have any inspection. And I like, my favorite car is red. And you're like, oh, wow, you have a baby's brain because you've had no need to evolve. First form was perfect for you. There's no challenge, right?
Anytime that big tech people like this guy were criticized by more progressive people or people who thought about humanity, they just changed the game so that they didn't have to think about that. And that's like put us in the situation that we're in now.
They worked hard and changed the game.
Yeah, so to make more people suffer.
It's I think, Jarvis, you'll definitely recognize this. And Anastasia, I feel like you might recognize it also from a very specific kind of San Francisco like dialectic, like the verbiage that he's using. It's almost like weaponized incompetence, right? Where it's a very classic dude thing to do, to take something that is just a missing skill or like a flaw, an elective flaw. Like, I don't really want to change. I don't want to do the dishes. I don't want to whatever.
And like intellectualize that.
Intellectualize it to be optimal. Not only better and optimal, but also manlier. Like that is the classic. And honestly,
it's like when Andrew Tate tweets that reading books is gay.
Yeah. And I'm not scared of it, dude.
Yeah.
It's not.
And I can read.
I don't have to sound out the words as I go through them, okay? My brother doesn't have to hold my hand because I'm worried how Ender's
And I know I can buy bigger pants, but I don't want to.
I want a little suit.
I want them to be skin tight so you can see how big my thighs are.
There's no like, and I've been guilty of this as a teenager.
Yeah.
But you have to, it's like, I don't read really anymore. I'm not much of a reader. And I was never much of a reader as a teenager. If somebody, when I was a kid, was just like, oh, you should read, like books are good, I'd be like, games exist. Seriously, you're still reading? No, the thing I am is not only the more moral choice, but it's the more optimal choice, as opposed to the like tiny moment of vulnerability where I actually go like, maybe I think I just need to maybe make a more conscious effort to, I'm a little too second screen oriented at the moment. That's not like, it's like this, the thing I was associating it with was in, it was at Patreon, but it was in like the atmosphere in general, is that constant attribution of things you like or want to do as something related to work or personal growth. Like no matter what it is, it has to be like life independent, balancing it with your work absolutely enriches it and vice versa. But I have been getting really into apples. The apple flavor has been informing my meetings. Like
it is a little bit like it's kind of now can be synthesized into, I really like apples. Here's what that taught me about B2B sales.
Yes. And here's what that taught me about why pear eaters have no idea what they're doing.
And I think that like there's another thing here, and this, when we hit play, I believe that it will kind of hit on this, which is that as a young man trying to find my way through the world and also feeling imposter syndrome and like I wasn't optimizing enough, I wasn't grustling and hustling hard enough. I read tons of self-help. Mm-hmm. I read self-help about mental health. I read self-help about workflow management. I read frickin' David Allen's Getting Things Done, The Art of Stress-Free Productivity. Good book, by the way. Like there's, books about management, books about, and then like your whole world becomes wrapped around how can I turn everything into productivity? It's a period of my life when I listened to Gary Vee.
Yeah.
It's a period of my life when I listened to the audiobook of The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck and turned it off because I was like, this guy sucks.
This is obnoxious. That's the thing, is there has to be that is introspection. That was a moment of you going like, well, I don't care what the rules are telling me. This book sucks.
There was a point where I did start to like read stuff or like whatever, and I would just be like, I hate you.
Yeah, it's
like I hate you and everything you stand for, because you start to realize this like myopic like lens through which they're viewing the world, and how, you know, there isn't a varied appreciation of, like, despite the fact that I enjoyed like the aspect of building stuff and technology, and that's always been something I was interested in as a kid. I was also interested in Dragon Ball, and I was interested in I used to write like little fanfics and print them out for my friends, and we'd act them out in the street and stuff like that. And it was like a creative writing exercise. And so I think that, and I used to draw and I think I already mentioned comedy, but like, just like that, like I felt like there was a lot of facets to my life of things that I could equally value.
Yes, that I would choose if I had to choose one.
And I was really interested in like psychology, and I was like very close to studying psychology in college. And I think that natural curiosity and a reverence for other like forms of ways of being, like, is something that helped me round out my worldview.
Maybe generate some of the antibodies that over time you hear more and more of this and you go, no.
Well, because you get so wrapped up in this hustle and bustle of everything. And then for me, like after I graduated, I went to Japan, and I was riding the Shinkansen to Kyoto, and like looking out the window at the like Japanese countryside. I'm like, wow, these people live an equally valid life to mine.
Yeah.
And are unlikely to have the exact same stresses, because a lot of the stresses that I have in my life are born out of eating, sleeping, and breathing this like Silicon Valley monoculture.
Yep.
And I was like, file that away for later. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Hold on to that as a cudgel against maybe some biases.
Yeah. Or then like meeting someone like a mortician. I met this Japanese mortician in a bar, and via my
sounds like a quest giver.
Yeah. And it's one of those small Japanese bars that holds like 6 people. And it was like me, my old roommate Nick, and then a bilingual bartender, and then like my broken Japanese, and they didn't speak any English. And so we were talking a little bit, and it was like, oh, hey, would you ever like leave Japan? And it's like, no. It's like, have you ever thought about it? And I'm like, wow, like our path, if I wasn't here, our paths never would have crossed. But it's like the Sonder or whatever. It's like you will go through the, you know, a full arc of a very full and valid life that almost never intersects with mine except for this singular moment.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like I think there's one takeaway from that, which is like you're living life inefficiently, you're not increasing shareholder value. And there's another way of viewing that is like, oh, like cool, maybe I'm actually whipping myself up into a fit about not getting a promotion when actually everything's pretty fine, all things considered.
And what do I actually want it for versus...
It is very much that.
Versus like almost what's this like religious dogmatic relationship I have with doing the thing? Like, do I like praying every night because it grounds me and I feel a connection to my faith? Am I praying tonight because I'll be self-doubting and angry and feel bad if I don't do it? As I guess would be the parallel. There's I forget that. You know what? I just had a really stupid tech instinct. I searched for a specific proper noun, like a specific proper word for a phenomenon I was going to describe, and I realized that like, no, there isn't one. Hold on, I don't need to do this the most efficiently. I'll try and I
don't know the good words, so I'll use a few of the bad ones to describe this.
So there's like a general, there's not a big insight or anything, but there's like a classic sentiment of like, you know, if you're caring for somebody who has dementia and it's like up and down and they'll remember some things but not others, and you get like kind of, it warps time for you as a carer because not, I won't call it like gaslighting, but their relationship with time and reality is so unrecognizable that it's kind of like when you have a newborn and you sleep when they sleep. And so you're kind of always in the moment that they're having, and then you leave it for a minute and you go like, wait, hang on, not wait. You talk to someone else and you go like, oh, hang on, wait, I'm back with you. Or you're in a relationship that can be like kind of toxic, and then you talk to a third person and you go, no, that's not reasonable. You go, you're right, it's not reasonable.
Right, you realize you were kind of Stockholm syndrome. Not to frame it like that, obviously, but just in the instance
of necessity.
Right, where it's like, oh, I needed something to break the cycle, to break the spell, so that I realized that like I'm in an escapable sphere of influence.
Yes.
Like this isn't actually the end all be all. I can get off of the treadmill.
I had there was this like similar, I'm imagining to you kind of sitting on the train. I had this very specific moment. I was also on public transport. Maybe there's something to that. I don't know. Passive sitting.
Nah.
I was on public transport and I didn't have headphones, actually. I think that anytime that's happened has been like some weird... Unfortunately, I have introspection. I'm cursed with it. Sorry, Egghead. Dr. Eggman. Robotnik over here could never understand. But like, I was sat on the bus and I was heading home very briefly. I had a flat like 20 minutes away, but I was mostly staying over at the place we'd gone for my mum because that was, easier than suddenly needing to suddenly go. And I was on my way home to grab something. And I got a phone call from the carer, and they said, your mum wanted to call you, hop on the phone. And I, as I say, seen her maybe 15 minutes ago. And she was really upset because she felt like she hadn't seen me in days. And I got this feeling, this happened dozens and dozens of times at the time, but it's always a little bit of a like, okay, because you've just left a space where you were on, and now someone's like, are you ready to be on it? Okay, so like deep breath, kind of engaging. And for some reason, the conversation was like, it was actually like very nice. It wasn't stressful at all. And she was just like, I'd love to see you soon. And the instinct was always to go like, facts and logic, actually, we just sorry, but that can happen eventually. So you go like, yeah, I'll actually be back in a little bit. We had that convo. I'm sorry if this is an overshare. This is a general, I think it's just when you talked about like the meeting that person in that bar, in that moment, there is a little revelation I had, and I'm certainly not the first person to have it, but in that setting where like, I would always be agonizing over, well, what was the point of me taking her out on that day trip when she can't remember it right now?
Oh, yeah.
And then after dozens and dozens and dozens of that happening, on this bus, I believe it was the 8B from Gloucestershire to Cheltenham, maybe. Gloucestershire to Cheltenham. Embarrassing myself. I said the county. Time to kill myself. Being assassinated by the...
by future
Stroud
you.
Massive.
Yeah.
But I didn't on the 8B. Got off the phone call and I went like, well, wait, the value of that trip, that 5-hour day trip, was exactly 5 hours long. That was the value.
Right.
In that exact moment. Because right now you can, we could refer in the abstract to like, I think maybe this is even noticeable when we talk about time in tech, time in the office, time at work. We talk about it in an abstract way that can be positive, and we can talk about specific anecdotes, but there are almost always exceptions to what the day-to-day was, right? It's a thing. It's like a piece. It's a nugget. And those are the things that flash before your eyes right as the meteor's heading, right? I think of that bus trip and then the day trip related to it and the all those little nuggets and those things that would not have happened if not for thousands of other dominoes. I think about us meeting, that exact setting in that exact way at that exact time, then where that led us, way more than I do about the tightening the screws of then to now.
Right.
Instead, it's the checkpoints, because that it's fun to reminisce about the thing, but sometimes I feel like I spend way too much time doing things so that later I can reminisce about them.
Yeah.
As opposed to, and the cliche, living in the moment or whatever, but the actual like go to Japan not to see if something interesting happens to then do. Yeah. Like I went to Japan because I wanted a spiritual journey and growth and for my business. But instead you went to Japan and then a thing happened that you couldn't have anticipated. Right. And that calcified it. And now you have that. Right.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
The pocket.
The thing that the through line through both of your stories
public transport.
well, which honestly, I think it is really great taking public transport because you are forced to interact with your community. When you are in a car by yourself all the time, you feel like an island and you get angry at other people. But the through line that I see between your two stories is that you had one perspective, you interacted with someone who had a different perspective, and that made you think, there's more than just my perspective.
Instead of, you're wrong.
Yes.
Objection.
I kind of notice that you don't think very critically kind of and look inwardly. You mean introspection, that thing that's gay? I only do cool stuff, like not think about myself.
If I turn myself upside down, you can write with me like a pen.
Bold point? A bold point pen?
There we go.
Leave him alone.
Like a huge problem in tech and just like business guys in general is that they have this weird confidence that they always think that they are right. Their perspective is right. And I've had this, I felt this from people like when I worked in museums where
oh God, yeah, that must have been.
A guy comes in to a meeting and we're like, you're just talking out your ass. You don't know what you're talking about. But because you have such confidence, you're commanding this meeting.
Because they're wearing so many scarves.
Yeah, that's unfortunately that's the, how to win friends and influence people or whatever. And
they're following all the rules.
They're following all the rules. And some of those, like you can develop a sociopathic. It's like if you don't second guess the using people as tools.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's not wrong that not introspecting and taking time to think about things can result in more career success. It can also make you a more effective serial killer.
It's like, that's the thing. It's like, but at what cost? And
Charles Manson read that same book.
I love the stuff he said.
I'm not a news guy.
Well, he's dead, but.
So I've read obviously 400, I think now 10 biographies of history's greatest entrepreneurs. Yep. And that was one of the most surprising things. Like, what's the most...
He rap godded for a second.
Some element.
So I figured out what he's saying because when we had this with the subtitles are also wrong. He said, I've read 410 biographies of history's greatest entrepreneurs, which is like, hey, that is too many biographies. Maybe read Harry Potter.
Yeah,
maybe read, it's like, maybe read fucking, I don't know, dude, read a picture book.
Well, maybe don't
get
read
something
biographies of entrepreneurs. Read a biography of Akira Kurosawa.
Yeah.
That guy's biography is great.
I feel like even in those biographies, a lot of times it's something that they learned from a completely different field or some sort of connection that they made from living a very varied life that allowed them to kind of find some unique.
Otherwise, it's a boring book because it's just it's a boring movie if nothing happens.
I went to school and then I got good grades. I got to good college, studied good thing, got good job. Once I was in good job, and then at some point or another, they get really lucky.
And it's
never
But
that's inside one sentence.
Exactly, yeah.
Because they're good.
And then after finding that treasure chest full of doubloons, and you're like, wait, where the fuck
Which
was
I only found because I'm a genius.
How to take your $1 billion of doubloons and invest them into crypto. It's like, hold on.
Was it Mr.
Wait,
Chest?
stop now.
Hold on.
You've actually got $1 billion doubloons.
Yeah.
Anyway, say what he said again.
He read. He's saying, now I've read, and he also says, now obviously, because you know me and you know everything about me, I've read 410, 409, no, carry the one. I guess now it's 410. Guess who the fuck cares? If you're going to say that sentence, just say over 400.
I've read a lot.
No one fucking cares that it's 409 versus 410.
I've done the most homework as an adult man.
And so anyway.
But I've also hung out with my kids almost 5 times.
Hold on. What's the title of this podcast? The world is more malleable than you think. No, I'm pretty aware of how malleable it is when you have billions of dollars.
Yeah, and also it's like those that trend of like breaking the matrix or remembering I have free will, and it's just like being difficult.
Yeah, well, so much of it is
your door.
If you can convince the people with billions of dollars that you are going to create value with that for them, then you can quote unquote change the world. But all it really does is like make them richer.
Yeah, it changes your world.
It changes your world as an individual. if we didn't have Uber at all right now, the world would only be slightly more convenient. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's like, it doesn't matter. That's a side point. Let's just hear about Mr. 410 biographies of history's greatest entrepreneurs. Actually, can you run it back so we can hear him say, some of them are doing, let me use what I got to do.
Can we, I know we're obviously watching this on 2x. Can we move this down to normal? Wait, actually, for a second, can we see what he sounds like on 0.75? I think it might be almost normal.
Yeah, I don't know. I found people who dwell on the past get stuck in the past. It's a real problem, and it's a problem at work, and it's a problem at home.
Wait, that's actually, if not for the aliasing in the audio, that sounds way easier to.
Dude, it's like you didn't actually say anything faster. You just said it harder to hear.
Yes. Talking very fast is a mirage.
Yeah.
That's actually a great way of seeming like you're smart, because when you're a little kid, you can't do it.
I don't really agree with that.
That's it. Oh, right.
Also,
410?
it seems like he can't waste time breathing. So he's like,
Yes.
I think that's he over caffeinated.
So I've read obviously
we can do
400,
normal.
I think now 10 biographies of history's greatest entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And that was
He never said it right.
I've read 410 of
It's like he forgot his line. It's like, I wish he read.
No, but I mean, if anyone's questioning it, it's I've read them of his. All right, we can play regular.
like Sam Walton didn't wake up thinking about his internal self. He just woke up. He's like, I like building Walmart. I'm going to keep building Walmart. I'm going to make more Walmarts, and just kept doing it over and over again.
Sam Walton, which is funny because the first time I heard him say it, I thought he said Sam Altman.
That's funny. Yeah. No, Sam Walton of the Walmart fortune.
Yeah.
That's not true. Yes, he did. He must have thought at least, what do I need day to day?
Which may be true, but it just sounds like a hyper focus.
Yeah, he just likes it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I don't have to wake up and think about Balatro. I'm able to just log in and waste 5 hours.
Jarvis didn't think about his YouTube career when he woke up. He got up and he played RuneScape like an adult.
Yeah. This guy, now, I've read 400 and he had breakfast. Okay, what?
I want to read 410 biographies of history's most normal guys.
I could see a world where if I was less like maybe, because I went from like overambitious to underambitious, forced cynical.
Yeah, you're like
to
a
just
little ambitious, yeah.
But I don't like now. Now I feel pretty comfortable day to day in like my what do I value thing. But you know, I don't feel like I'm spending a lot of time going like, what should I believe? It's more a case of what, you know, figuring it out internally. Because I'm inefficient, of course. But like this whole, I can see a world where if I was my current age and still pretty insecure on some level about like my beliefs, my relationship, how much of the world I've been involved in, etc. I can absolutely see a world where I start pointing at the things missing in me or the things that are absent and then rebranding them. And saying like, yeah, I'm like, if I'd never moved to the US, right? Which, because I always really wanted to. And if I'd never moved to the US, I absolutely would dive into the classic UK thing of like, Americans don't get it. They're nothing like us. They're weird. And it's like, no, we're just sound weirder here.
And you probably know if you go back, like before 100 years ago, it never would have occurred to anybody to be introspective. Like it's the whole idea of
before 100 years ago, it never would have occurred to anyone to be introspective. How did you say that with a straight face?
You mean like the Enlightenment?
It never would have occurred. 1920.
Socrates.
Who?
Who the fuck is that? I don't play with toys. I don't care about your little goo.
Okay, what about
I'm building Walmart
over and over. I'm punching a tree to get materials to build a crafting bench, and I'm making Walmart again.
I'm making Walmart again and again. Also, and Charmander's gonna help. Sorry, I'm playing Pokopia.
One might, not me, I wouldn't.
Would you call this a Socratic method?
One might argue that building a bunch of Walmarts has been really horrible for our country and the world.
But it made him rich, and that's all that matters.
Oh.
It's like you're not even listening to the egg. You're not even witnessing the egg.
Deep into the egg.
Ponder my egg. You rub his head for bad luck.
He looks exactly like...
I also just want to point out that 100 years ago is 1926.
That's what I'm saying. Sorry. No, but that's the thing. It's like, you think that like the roaring 20s was when introspection was invented. He also doesn't think it was invented in America. So we can just continue.
Yeah. He says more about when he thinks it was invented.
all of the modern conceptions around introspection and therapy and all the things that kind of result from that are, kind of manufactured in the 1910s, 1920s.
Say more about that.
Great men of history didn't sit around here.
Dynamite interview. Yeah?
This is this is on 1x speed.
1x speed.
Yeah, it's like a dog year. 1x speed is 5 times
1x
normal.
speed.
That's for good shit. We're paying you this month.
Oh man, expect a direct deposit eventually.
Yeah, as I say, we're a family here. It's not all about money.
I get paid in
Net
1
900.
Great men of history didn't sit around doing this stuff at any prior point, right? It's all a new construct.
It feels like he just snorted cocaine.
I know. He's rubbing his nose and
His lips also aren't making words. Like if you try
it's
to
dubbed.
read his lips, it doesn't work.
he's dubbed. This was originally in Korean.
The sound actually echoes through his egg, and that's how we're hearing it.
It's like a cathedral.
People say read Shakespeare, but you're supposed to hear it in the acoustics of a guy's head.
Yeah.
First Western civilization had to kind of invent the concept of the individual, right? Which was like a new concept, several hundred years ago. And then
There was no introspection, right? And then just thinking about the timeline, no introspection, but we did do World War I. And then later for World War II, we're like, everyone's introspecting too much. We got to do this whole thing again. We completely... So like nothing was different.
And he's even saying 200 years ago, we invented the individual. So I'm guessing he's saying the Industrial Revolution. So the Industrial Revolution, individual was created, and that was really great because it created all this industry. But individual is actually bad for industry?
kind of this kind of guilt-based whammy, kind of showed up from Europe. A lot of it from Vienna, 1910s, 1920s, Freud, and all that entire movement.
Guilt was an invention by Sigmund Freud in the 1920s. He's talking about like guilt and rumination and not introspection because
you could uninstall your emotions if it weren't for that damn German.
Yeah, it's very funny to think about it as DLC we got from abroad.
Yeah, and that like Catholicism was built without the concept of guilt.
And also that we had like we have the capacity for these things because of our like physiology and the like neurotransmitters and stuff in our brain. So it's insane to posit that we didn't have these experiences because we're wired to have them.
It would be
as a survival mechanism.
We would
it's like,
it's like hunger was invented actually the day I was born. Anything that happened before that, and I was never hungry once.
I think we got it from Vienna with all their sausages. Vienna gave us a lot of exports, guilt and sausages.
I think that's pretty much where it wrapped up. There were these like oily paintings or something like that.
Gross.
In his house, the only art is like.
Oh, dude! I found all these oil paintings from Vienna. Nasty. So I washed them all off,
cleaned them.
Beautiful frames. Beautiful white frames.
Do you think something went wrong when all the king's horses put him back together again? Got him.
I think we can transition to his
crash out
aftermath.
So.
Does he type with no spaces?
Marcus Aurelius Meditations. How do you say that? Like X16, like
yeah, I don't know.
10.16.
Austin 316.
To stop talking about what the good man is like and just be one.
And then a screenshot of the line?
And a very bad screenshot
of that line.
And then you can just look at the top comment. Seems you missed the part of this book where he's literally introspecting the entire fucking time. Not to mention the book is called Meditation.
No, dude, the founder of Walmart, when he meditates, sits down and goes, I want to build Walmart.
An entire book where the guy is introspecting.
I don't get it. Is this he's doing an I'm not owned?
Yeah. No, he's like, I'm right. Y'all are criticizing me, but I'm...
Look at this dead guy.
He's like, why are you criticizing me? I'm wrong. And so
don't make fun of me. I'll shit my pants.
It just gets better and better. People are saying he got one-shotted by this one thing. Because again, he was in lukewarm water. This was just bad take.
Embarrassing.
Bad take. Dumb. Billionaire being dumb.
I've already forgotten about it.
Whatever. Yeah, there's Trump just anointed a puppy the czar of fucking... begotten European land.
They've started putting like Pomeranian souls inside of every drone. We're like, oh well.
A lot of people getting one-shotted by the concept of one-shotting, and I think that's him to just say, "I'm not owned." It's a lot of he is like, this is a master class in I'm not owned, and he powers it up ever so slightly with each progressive
Jarvis,
tweet.
hit me with any insult at all ever.
I think you're like a little short-sighted.
Maybe you're that.
Oh.
More first also.
Okay. And then if you scroll...
As Marcus Aurelius said, fuck off, leave me alone.
What's that?
Oh, whoa! Whoa!
Dude, billionaire.
Whoa!
Current
Dude,
status.
and then he like medium posted. It's like there's like
it's his post?
I don't know. We got to scroll up.
He wrote it?
So he said, oh yeah, he reposted this, be R-worded to win at life.
I gotta say, dude,
wait, what the fuck?
virtue signaling shit of using the R slur now to be like, yeah, that's right. I wasn't afraid. Like, no, you're just
got
boring.
99 problems, but a frontal loan ain't one R word.
Incredible lyric. Incredible.
So he's just saying that his frontal lobe is more developed.
Because you can
I
see
should
it.
fucking hope so. Bad trade-off otherwise.
I was like, damn. It's like, yeah, you could put more cars in your fucking garage. Peter Thiel, Antichrist, Mark Andreessen, Introspection. Jacob wants to like that one.
Okay, wait, Jarvis, can I just throw out something? To crash out like this is... Now, when I imagine someone doing that, I imagine them hunched over their phone at home being resentful. Because you have to, right? You're focused on it. You're posting constantly. You're thinking a lot about something personally related.
He refuses to introspect. Instead, he has a knee-jerk reaction of defensiveness.
Yeah, he's outrospecting.
Yeah.
He's posting.
Because scroll up. Again, what the fuck is this one? Not R-worded if your brain is bigger than your balls.
Who is this?
I don't know. He like found a guy and he's like, this is my favorite guy, I think.
He's just Facebook posting. Oh my God. He's back on his Marcus.
Look, I'm just saying if I, Marcus Aurelius, and Alicia D. Long agree on something, you can assume it's correct.
Who's Alicia?
I don't know.
This person.
What?
Oh, yeah, wait, maybe we can click on that.
Brothers, we gotta freaking talk. How you doing, man?
Oh, is it
Is this
Eli?
I don't know about you,
No?
but there are a lot of idiots out there.
What? He does the Crystalia mouth.
Yeah,
when
you're
he
right.
when he tucks his mouth into his lips.
Walk away.
You see what I mean?
It blows my mind. I never knew. So that one video where I first said that, I said, do a 360 and moonwalk away out of your bad relationship.
Can we click through to just see the views on it? Like, is this
Like,
how,
what
where
is
does he know
this?
about this? This 45,000 views and he knows it, like just off the top.
Well, Alicia Long posted it. Who he must know.
Oh, I guess they got a following.
Oh, #1 men's community.
What's
is he
Thumos?
like? Is he? I don't need to know. Is he coming? Look at this. 1 million views. Be R-worded with women, friends, and jobs. Is this guy
I see what you mean.
stupid? Andrew Tate.
What a miserable yard, by the way. Just nothing in it. Dead tree.
Wait,
But a grill.
Yeah, he's a man. He's one of the fellas.
I smoke cigars and I grill steak.
a R-word or a slave. Okay, scroll up a little bit, Jacob. A slave always believes he's based R-word maxing. And
41 minutes.
He's done the thing where a TikTok creator gets one-shotted by a like a concept blowing up, or let's say a commentary creator gets one-shotted by making a video about 5-minute crafts, and then he's like, all right, as long as I throw the R word in there,
people think
we're
I'm
eating
cool.
good.
To me right now, that shit feels exactly the same as a kid calling me like a poopy head, where I'm like, wow, they don't know how silly that sounds.
Yeah.
And they think the fact that I'm rolling my eyes is because they've owned me.
Wait, this guy says men with feelings are weak. Emotional men are weak.
Wait, who was that? Did you just look at his oldest? Was that Twink Death?
Is his Lynn smoking a cigarette? This is like in the second thumbnail, he's Sneeko.
It looks like he's sneezing.
How'd that happen? It is really interesting to see this random billionaire be obsessed with this like fucking chud.
I don't know. I just don't. He must have gotten linked one video and that he then reposted and now is like. So just to be clear, the intellectual giants that make him feel confident is Marcus Aurelius and this guy.
That's
his company.
It's a YouTuber whose thing is using the R word.
And introspecting, I get. Rule 1 of women.
This is so funny because it's like saying, I'm so smart. And then everyone's like, no, actually what you said wasn't that smart. And then trying to prove you're smart by shooting yourself in the foot.
I'm not.
Shooting yourself in the head, dude.
Like, why are you reposting?
Well, he's got so much brain.
No, well, yeah, because you have to get rid of your brain and you have to R word match.
Just shave it down.
You
because that's apparently what that
outed
means.
yourself by reposting this.
That's a really cool banner image though.
I don't want to know what it means. Okay, let's go back to scrolling.
Yeah,
up
it's
his
going to be
tweets.
something eugenics.
It is 100% that. They hated Jesus because he told them the truth. Shut up.
Oh, that's just, it's not even a customized version in the meme format?
No.
Just the normal.
Scroll up.
Just a chick track.
Introspection equals neuroticism times narcissism times thumb sucking. He still thinks that's what introspection means.
Yeah.
Wait.
Like you just don't know the definition of the word.
Narcissism.
To look inside of oneself.
Of course, that's what it is to him, because he has no insights or ability to handle it. He's going inside his own brain. And it's just noise. It's like noise. It's like, I don't fucking deserve this. I don't know who I am. I don't fucking know anything. I look like an egg. What the hell is going on? And he's like, wow. Why would people do that? They just feel sorry for themselves and complain all the time and get upset when people are mean online.
Those are the 3 things he sees when he looks inside himself. He sees neuroticism, narcissism, and thumb.
And Marcus Aurelius.
How is that not what this crash out is?
He's self-soothing.
Yeah.
He's thumb sucking.
He's literally doing the thing where you cry to release the like what is it? Like the
like hormone
I don't know which neurotransmitter or hormone
the
thing
stuff.
It is. You release the stuff to feel better. Oh yeah. Then he said ratio me navel gazers, and then he screenshotted his own tweet.
Did he not get enough attention?
No.
On it?
He's not done.
He's not upset.
He's not
I'm
done.
not done. Weak ratio, sad. Actually, like it's a
Wait.
really embarrassing ratio, actually.
He just keeps What? Why does he keep posting?
He's
does he
trying
think
to
the ratio has to be inverted? Like it has to be fewer likes than...
Yeah, it's like I think if you got 250, yeah, it's a terrible ratio, but maybe he's like too stupid to understand. This is why intelligence isn't one thing.
My mantra, that's got to be terrible.
Okay, we can scroll up.
Oh, cool, epic. He's teenage posting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like kind of interesting to watch a 55-year-old man go through puberty.
Maybe extrospection maxing. Never self-analyze. Never think about your actions or thoughts. Terrify
therapy cells.
Oh, with this one weird trick: descend every gradient, become the mirror of heaven and earth.
Is this parody? Never self-analyze. That's like not a joke.
I think this is like a black pill like movement type thing.
I think so.
But the guy is... Are they... Well, yes, they are stupid. But like, why are they that kind of stupid? Like, why do they not... Just reading that seems like a joke, isn't it? Never self-analyze?
But the thing is, if you look inside too much, you'll realize that everything you value will not bring you happiness.
Well,
too much
and
blood.
it's scary.
They have the worst result ever, which is looking inside and seeing nothing. It's not even something to analyze. It's
the last episode of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yeah, he's looking up at the set.
Dude crashed out, went to sleep, woke up, and went right back to crashing out. He's spending his whole day researching for clever sounding comebacks instead of... Should have gone to r/comeback.
Yeah, bro.
Instead of listening to his own advice of not ruminating, just taking the L and moving forward with being a 10x Marcus Aurelius engineer trad or whatever he sees himself as. I blame LLM one-shot psychosis. And then that's the thing where it's like, and he's like, one shot, and he's like, okay, Googling for one-shot
How should
memes.
I hone the libs with this?
How should I? He's got like 9 Claude agents like working to try and come up with comebacks for him.
His
Analyze.
living room is warm.
Run a 16-man March Madness-esque bracket for the best comeback to possibly have in this moment.
Shut up.
It looks like R word is coming up a lot. Oh, this is actually a friend of mine, Andre. He's a machine learning researcher and PhD. We both went to Georgia Tech together.
It's funny this profile pic is perfect for the thing he's saying.
Yeah.
Mark?
You can see the words coming out of his mouth.
I mean, he kind of just clocked him.
Yeah.
I thought Mark was a genius, though.
Oh, Mark and Marcus. Mark A and Mark A.
And then...
That's what he's trying to do.
Wait. One of them's dead.
One of them's egg.
Oh. Yeah, that's true.
Which came first?
This guy.
The Aurelius or the Eggman? So this is a post of his from the past. I use Midjourney V6 to reimagine famous artwork in a style inspired by Grimes. The results are magic. Mona Lisa by Leonardo da Vinci. It's just him being like, I'm not crying, you're crying. He's like, she's beautiful.
He's doing default.
This is from the past. This is from the past.
That's like default Facebook reply, whatever.
Yeah.
But for the wrong post. Because he should be saying like this, or artists should be worried, but I'm not crying. This isn't the crying one.
His entire business is heavily indexed on artificial intelligence not being a bubble.
Oh, right.
So he's got to beat the drum of AI acceleration.
He's crying because it looks like shit.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm crying. This fucking sucks.
So it's like, if you looked at the titles of those podcasts and you look at them under the lens of this person, it's their bottom line to be pro AI. Yeah. All of the things are like, why AI isn't a bubble. It's like, I'm sure.
I've read 15,000.
It's like, it's like you go to the like Lemonade propaganda channel and it's like, why a lemonade a day keeps the doctor away.
Are you getting enough sugar on your teeth?
Yeah. 10 lemonade recipes that are sure to improve your sex life. Question mark.
And then someone's like, actually, I mean, don't drink too much soda because it can help. And they're like, Marcus Aurelius, I was watching Gladiator and actually.
Yeah. Oh yeah, soda out, lemonade in. Is lemonade in a bubble?
Doctors hate me.
Okay, so enough of this egg.
Philosophers hate him.
Which is exactly what he would say. I want to talk about the Oscars because
there's a guy, right?
Oscar's not a.
He's not one guy.
He's not one guy. He's multiple.
He's dead
guys.
now.
Oscar?
No, he's alive and well as a little.
No, he was
statue.
dead and then reconstituted as multiple. It's like imbibing the body of Christ.
Oh, I thought it was like a Honey, I Shrunk the Kids situation.
You have to find the real one.
Honey, I Shrunk the Me.
If you get enough Academy Awards, we'll be able to Voltron Oscar back, and then the very best picture gets the big one.
And everyone's mad at one of our brethren.
Who we've known about forever.
Who we've known about for so long. Jake Shane was on the red carpet interviewing with Quinlan Blackwell, who is another influencer who was like transitioned into being like, she was like a multi-hyphenate model, YouTube like person.
That sentence is so Baby Grok rizzing up Libby. What was her name again, sorry?
Quinlan Blackwell. She was like Blackwell. Big on Vine, I think.
Jake Shane.
Was she? I know her from Twitter mainly.
Jake Shane.
But Variety and other major publications are writing about how awkward they are. And I do think that it's starting to go a little far. Oh, it's kind of how I felt. Oh, I don't know because I haven't seen the interviews. Yeah, maybe. But I will say that and I'm joking about, it's just like an influencer. And now everybody's like, this is why all influencers should be killed. You know what I mean? Like,
we can't let them go outside.
Like, we should gather them in firing squad mode.
It's the only take. You know what I mean? It's like the logical end of every conversation.
Not like an individual can't do something poorly. They have to be a representative for whatever their class low that is.
You know, like every bad improv scene ends in like the apocalypse or something, or like ends with something like
I've got a gun.
Every death, I've got a gun and I'm starting a fire. It's kind of like that for every online take, where the final piece always has to be like, they should be sequestered. They must be re-educated and removed from society.
Were they working for E? Like, who were they working for?
Me.
Yeah, I think it was Vanity Fair.
Well, we'll see in the interview. But I guess what I'm saying is, why is everyone coming after them and not the people that hired them?
It's like bad casting, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, kind of both. But it's easier to point the finger at the person whose face is on camera, right?
Exactly.
Instead of who knows who is exactly responsible for hiring them.
It's also more fun to point at them.
But there's just so many influencers where I'm like, they would be great at this.
So Jake Shane was invited by Vanity Fair to cover the red carpet of Vanity Fair's. Yes, on the right there. That's him. To cover the red carpet of Vanity Fair's Oscar party.
Okay.
So after the Oscars has ended. Yeah.
Yes. And this is one of the clips that people pointed out.
If I had legs, I'd kick you. Wow.
Really good.
Like
really good.
Every mother's story, especially.
You think the kid was annoying?
No, I can't.
Yeah, you know that kid was so damn annoying.
I know, but she had issues, and it's like that's the thing.
I think the kid was annoying because of the mom.
No, can I tell you something? It's not that it's the mother's fault or the child's fault. It's society's fault. It sets mothers up to fail. You know, even the fact that like school gets out at 3, but most jobs are done at 5 or 6. All those little things are so positioned to just not conducive to mothering, if that makes sense.
That makes
you know,
complete sense.
and it's
Julia
like,
Fox for president.
Yeah. Okay. I feel like we've dragged this on a little bit, and there's a whole.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was a a little uncomfortable, right?
Yeah.
And so for context,
She cooked though, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, she handled it well.
Also, like, talk about media literacy, getting and not getting movie.
Yeah.
Like, do you think Tyler Durden was cool?
Yeah.
Yeah, for a little bit of context, if anybody has not seen If I Had Legs I'd Kick You, it's about motherhood. It's about this woman who has a sick child. And is going through like the throes and like the difficulties of motherhood, and
it's really good. It's a hard watch.
Yeah,
but it's
Julia
really
Fox, a mother herself, like has a very like valid and important things to say about the movie, and so like his question of like, oh, wasn't the girl like annoying or whatever, was just kind of like maybe not the right question to ask in that moment.
Right, like tonally, it's like the wrong time for a joke.
It's also the framing
even if
of,
it was a joke, which he could have been actually annoyed. But.
The framing of the movie is, I can definitely see people being annoyed because it is like a not unreliable narrator, but it's like supposed to put you in the emotional space of it. The whole thing with the movie is making you like, it's challenging the like social norm of like, you can't ever say that you didn't want to be a mother or you didn't like it or the stuff you don't like. So the idea that it's tactless to say the best, I guess, but it's kind of like if going to the red carpet and being like, I watched that movie, Women Talking. Wish they didn't. I'm like, okay, even if that's a joke, a little weird right now.
Because it really just like shits on the whole concept.
Yeah. Rosebud was amazing though. Not snubbed. She was nominated, but like, she was so fucking good.
Shout out Rose.
Shout out Rose. Come on the show.
And then so a little bit later, Jake Shane
I can't get over the name.
and Quinlan are also interviewing Damson Idris
of F1
Good Lord.
for this Oscar.
Good Lord, he's handsome.
Yeah, he's extremely
Good
handsome.
Lord.
Like,
Also, his suit was so cool.
Yes.
He truly is. That's like ultra instinct. He's like raised. He's like beyond.
I actually loved If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You.
Me too.
Yeah.
Did you find the daughter so annoying?
Wait.
God, brother, chill out.
No one said, hey. Stop.
You know how that whiffed?
I actually did not expect him to do the same. I thought it was going to be about a different movie, about a different thing. I can't believe
It didn't go over well the first time.
Do you think this was the first time, or like it worked with someone, or at least they pretend they were like, great, like perfect.
It almost seems now seeking the validation of like, someone's got to agree with my take that the kid was annoying.
Yeah.
Did anybody else find that like the Paranormal Activity was scary? Like when I watched that movie, all the cupboards moving and stuff, too scary.
I couldn't enjoy one battle after another because all the people doing bad stuff, I assumed the movie was telling me that they were endorsing it.
Yeah, that should
That
be
actually
illegal.
is a take, right? That's a discussion happening on Twitter.
It is a
That's
take.
your lot.
It is a take.
That's your lot making those kind of takes. If I'm wrong, then say something into a microphone. Too late. Too late.
Wait, no.
Also, Damson Idris is me. Someone says something I need to think about. I go thinking.
Well, also, it's
What
like
is
the
happening?
shock of hearing that, makes me laugh.
How do you respectfully disagree, but also like don't like make him feel bad by like killing his joke?
Which is a gift that is he didn't earn here. That's Damson Idris being a professional. I think.
Yeah, that's generosity.
It's a generosity that you don't always get from a scene partner.
It's like meeting a partner's uncle who's just like, I don't know about all this immigration. I'm like, okay, I'll see you later, man.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk.
Or when you're in an Uber and they start saying stuff, it's like, and then I think they're letting women do too much stuff now. They can vote, and I'm like, no, that's crazy.
Yeah, wow, I'll get out here.
This is actually my stop. We're on the interstate.
Yeah, I'll just run me over.
No. There's like a cool tire I want to. There's like a piece of a tire I want to pick up.
I'm just like, fuck, I should have drunk drove.
Yeah.
Say that, but
You know it.
happens
Keep
to
it,
see-
mommy, shut the fuck up. Damn.
All right, that's kind of
Not
charming.
only like saying the same quote unquote joke and topic twice, but whenever he respectfully disagrees, going, no, I'm right.
Okay,
say it.
so
Say
the
I'm right.
first, to be honest, the first clip, I was like, he threw it out there, and then when Julia Fox respectfully disagreed and also like beautifully explained like the like what the movie was communicating, and then supported it with examples, and then he was like, "That's so true." He like backed off of it, right?
That's true.
This is crazy.
Now I'm back with the boys. All that happened was there was less pushback.
Also,
it's not like this guy went like, hell yeah.
Also,
bro.
this came up. He brought this up as something he enjoyed, right? So
Well,
it's like, let me.
Yeah.
So it's like, why? I don't know, man. And I think people will talk about this, but it's like an interesting place to choose conflict with someone you don't know. Because if I'm introducing conflict with someone I don't know, I'm easing into it.
So if you're a representative for a publication, your job is you're doing your late night. You know, you're a morning show, both ends of the day. You're fluff. You're not. Don't do bits.
You're not the star
that you do on your channel.
That's
do like
the thing.
You're trying to get something from the person you're talking to. You're not the star of the show
and you
right now.
have to love every movie.
Yeah.
You can't say that's the point. You have to be kind of critically spineless. Just feel like F1 was not boring.
Because here's the other thing. It's like there's a time and place for everything. If you are like, now is not the time to get on your critic high horse, right?
Yeah, dude.
Like it's like there's a time and a place for everything. If I'm the greeter at Walmart, I'm not asking people their politics as they come in.
That's not what. Or my therapist starts talking about their week. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, time and place, buddy. Time and
He
place.
keeps saying, yeah, that was one of my favorites too. So he liked the movie. And I think a way that he could have talked about this in a much more like nice way would be to say, they did such a good job of making you feel the pressures of being a mother with all of the kid yelling at you which is what the movie is. The movie makes you feel what the main character, the mother's feeling.
Did y'all see Die, My Love? Anybody?
No.
I know. Nobody really saw it. I haven't seen If I Had Legs I'd Kick You, but in Die, My Love, there's a part where a dog is whimpering, and it is so annoying, I guess is a word you could use, but it's extremely like
it's cortisol spiking.
Yeah, they're doing it to evoke.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And so it's like I can acknowledge that I'm feeling this thing because the movie wanted me to feel this thing.
Yeah, this movie made me cry. I think it might be evil.
Right. That's kind of
the movie's mean.
I was annoyed, and the thing is, I think it's like if I was annoyed by something and it wasn't intentional, then that's one thing.
Yeah,
but
a
if
bad
it's
mix or
if
something.
it's clearly like the point, if it's clearly like trying to communicate something, then it almost doesn't matter that you were annoyed, because you could be like, they created an uncomfortable soundscape.
Yes.
Yeah.
What
You
the
know
hell
what I
did he
mean?
think the movie was about?
Intentionally, yeah, I don't know.
Just hanging out.
Okay,
Well,
let's
I guess he didn't see it probably, so that's
yeah. Well, I'm also thinking like this is probably like I do think primarily he is a comedian.
Yeah.
And so I think probably another aspect of this is that a lot of times when he's hired for stuff, it's for him to be a comedian.
Right.
Which is not necessarily like the point of this job that he has been appointed.
Yeah.
He's doing Billy on the Street. But he shouldn't be.
But I also think that, like, I mean, obviously it's tough to compare him to someone like Conan, but Conan does such a good job of like pointing a joke somewhere, but still bringing you in.
Yep.
And like, I feel like this is a little like, let me stand alone and like do my thing. And it almost feels like a frame off. And unfortunately, any of us are getting frame mugged next to Jameson Idris.
Yeah, that's true. Don't punch Thanos.
Yeah, even that hosting the Oscars is like a different task than having to interview people.
Yeah, it's playing your role like in improv when like the scene is about something and then someone comes in and tries to be like the funny one in the scene rather than like supporting.
Yeah.
Because like to set them up in a way, like when you say, "Oh, the daughter was so annoying, mommy, mommy, mommy," how, you know, you're supposed to be like setting them up to respond to you.
Yes.
What are they supposed to say?
And now you've created an awkward landscape for them to respond within, because now they're
at work.
They're at work, and if I'm an actor, I'm not trying to go off on filmmakers who might hire me.
This beloved movie that resonated with a lot of people and would also be like somewhat problematic to say these things you're pitching to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and for poor Quinlan Blackwell, like, this is another reason why I'm kind of sad about people saying influencers should never be hired for these kinds of jobs, because she's doing a great job. And he's making it awkward for her as well.
It's like making it awkward for everybody.
Yeah, like she now has to like pull things back and be the responsible one.
Now I'm having to mop up after you pissed on the floor.
Exactly.
It's like they shouldn't hire Damson Idris to be a real F1 driver. He just played one in a movie, but like it's like not that, I don't know, like I don't know Shane Belanio, but he is presumably
Shane Belanio is a pretty good name.
Funny in his own thing.
Yeah,
Drake
May, the quarterback of the.
That's a tough one for me.
Jake Shane, two first names. The thing is, I have seen a lot of discourse about Jake Shane's stuff, but I don't want to get to that until we've watched more of these clips. So let's see how Damson Idris lands this car. They fly, right?
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up. Damn.
Oh my gosh.
Going through it.
Well, so was her mom.
It was good. It was a lot of fun though, and it was a great year for film.
It really was.
It's like the moment where I realized I've gone too far. It was a lot of fun though. It really was.
It was actually
what a jaunt it was.
Oh my god!
Through all the horrific realities of motherhood.
I love that kid too. I was just kidding before.
I was joshing when I went full scream.
There's something really funny about that. As it gets more uncomfortable, the screen gets so little, and they just show you Ed Norton. Like,
They're like,
this guy.
We're cutting you off.
To show you a guy everyone hates.
Another funny moment that people were pointing out was the interview with Kris Jenner.
Clash of the Titans.
Every time I see Kris Jenner, she's 10 years younger.
Yeah.
Good. How are you?
I'm incredible.
How did you get this gig? I love it.
I don't know, honestly. But you know what? You are the hardest working woman in Hollywood.
Of all time.
People just thought it was funny that she was like, how did you get this gig?
I'm like, was there any discussion before that, or had she heard something? Like what?
Yeah, but she must be familiar.
Like
I wonder if she
clocked him?
recognized
I think
him.
she's probably familiar with him.
Yeah, because I'm so interested in the access, like Hollywood. I'm so interested in the access of like the celebrities, because the thing about Jake Shane is that he does all these mainstream interviews with celebrities, but I don't know how or why.
Yeah.
Well, he has a podcast, right?
No, that's what I mean. But I'm like, when we have a podcast too, and I'm like, why don't
we have never had?
Why don't we get like big celebrities?
Kris Jenner.
But
I think he's one of the examples of someone who was sort of invited into the mainstream through like he has a role in Hacks.
Yeah.
And so that's, I think
if we were making a concerted effort to, it's like every journalist in the White House press corps is not the best journalist of the, like, it's not just the 50 best journalists ever born. It's just the 50 most wanted to do that journalists, or the most pushed for that.
Nowadays
access journalism, we say yes to this, and we push for interviews with so-and-so, and we're asking our management, like, I really want to talk to this person. It's its own, like,
and then it eventually like becomes a sustaining thing. But then also I've seen people talk about how he doesn't ever challenge anyone on his actual podcast. And I found that really interesting, because why in this context would you challenge them if you don't challenge them?
Oh, he's like pushing back more in this than on his own show.
That's what maybe
it's the adrenaline.
That's what I've heard, at least.
It's maybe
it's nerves.
It could be the whole
jitters.
You want to get like one good joke at the part, you know what I mean? Like establish yourself as someone that can hang, but you're meeting a new person every 10 minutes. So you're like, do you think he was a robot?
Maybe got bad advice. Maybe they didn't give him good advice when they gave him this job.
He was like, I need to talk to someone to prepare him for this job. And then they introduced him to Triumph the Insult Comic Dog.
Also,
Own him.
From 2003.
On Wikipedia, it says that he wanted to go towards traditional media.
Definitely.
And signed with traditional agencies like UTA.
Yeah.
So I do wonder if they're pushing him in this direction as well.
Yeah, but I feel like even when you have that representation, you still need, because I know loads of people who like are repped by UTA who like they still have to like buy in to whatever you're doing.
For sure.
So I'm just so curious, like this, like how this like all led this direction.
So Variety wrote this piece on the whole ordeal, titled "Jake Shane's Questions at the Vanity Fair Oscars Party Prove Influencers Shouldn't Be Red Carpet Reporters."
Calm down.
But it's like
Daniel Daddario.
And this, I think, opened a lot of discussion on Twitter.
They're famous celebrities. They can tank a little bit of awkward. It wasn't like, he didn't like grab their wrists.
It is a little bit like, I'm like, yeah, there's a part of me that's like, let's pump the brakes a tad. Because it's like, no influencer should talk to Kris Jenner, mother of famous influencers.
It's like, okay, if you want.
Like, yeah, they're reality TV stars, but like,
it's such
where do the $1 million brand deals come from?
It implies like this journalist class under the age of 40 that kind of doesn't exist anymore.
Well, and that's partly some of the discourse is about that. You know, Washington Post laid off like a ton of journalists. Like we live in an era of like access journalism now where it's like if you just don't like speak lies to power, if you just don't like kind of toe whatever line they want you to toe, there's like a big dearth of like independent journalism or mainstream journalism that's like doing, like obviously like the journalists that are employed are still doing a good job, but there's few and far between. We're constantly seeing people like laid off.
And and more people are becoming independent journalists that you have to like subscribe to, which is hard to do, you know?
This person who, you know, they work at Variety, or their former chief correspondent at Variety, actually. But they are talking about how like this job for journalists is extremely specialized. For like studied hosts and entertainment journalists, etc. And it isn't the type of thing that should just be left to not anyone off the street, but just someone who's unprepared. I don't think that influencers are a monolith. I think that if someone was like well studied, they could do a perfectly good job.
Yeah, there are so many influencers that talk a lot about movies and who would be very like well suited for.
And if I was doing this job,
hey, Jarvis shouldn't get hired for software engineering. He's an influencer. It's like, yeah, but you did go to school. It's like, what were you before?
Well, that's the thing. It's like if I do improv or whatever, it was like, hey, that was actually pretty cool. You almost knew what you were doing.
Influencers never know how to do. That's weird. Yeah. It's like it doesn't. Life doesn't start on the first video.
It's like not anywhere on the like tier list of oppression, you know, thing. But it is an interesting, like derogatory, like influencer. It's also just a terrible term in general, but. Again, like I think that this is this is a reasonable point. Yeah. Like you should either be studied or of this craft. But here's the thing. Okay, well, there's two things about it. If I'm hired for a job like this, or if I'm like doing something, like when I was doing we did the Ultimate Improv show, right? And then I was like having Dan give me like the show lowdown, and he's like, "Oh, I appreciate that you did that because sometimes people are like, I've seen shows like this before," and I'm like, "Well, I'm in your house, so I want to do what you need.
Do I wear the shoes?
You know what I mean? It's like shoes on, shoes off. You know what? Like that type of thing.
I'll do the common one.
And I kind of believe in like if I'm coming into your house and your space, I'm going to pay reverence to like what you need from me. I don't know enough to say that Jake Shane didn't do that. Or wasn't given the context, or you would think that an institution like Vanity Fair would have the means to put these seasoned entertainment journalists behind this thing.
Yeah, some people have pointed out that Vanity Fair, this is their first Oscars like party since their new editor was implemented or brought on.
Interesting. Yeah,
about like how like he might prioritize like Jake Shane's like. So like subscribers or followers or like view count or whatever to get eyeballs on the interviews over something like someone who would be more like apt to like do something
to do the interview itself. But the risk is that like that's one of those things where you like move a load bearing brick And you're like, oh, I didn't know it was actually holding so much weight, because if people are, have done this job before, they are preventing so many bad things from happening that are invisible when they don't happen.
And like, why do people, you're losing so much time when you sleep 8 hours every night. Then you start sleeping 2 hours and you're like, oh,
I see.
You have to, like, for living.
Because the hallucinations start almost immediately. Yeah.
Oh.
I understand.
I mean, we can speak about this pretty comfortably, guys. I have absolutely no interest in pivoting into traditional media, but there is a case of like, this kind of is the only path now, as far as like metrics for success goes. But what the hell? It's like extra credit for applying to a university. Like, what the fuck are you supposed to build as a background other than a following and other than content that you build if you are interested in getting into a field? Because I don't think that like there's not a college education that can provide you any kind of confidence in doing that. Not to mention you're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to potentially go to journalism school to most likely get no job out of it because of the environment. So let's just say like this was his genuine interest. In this Jake Shane's case, this seems to just be a side thing. But let's say that you really, actually, genuinely wanted to do red carpet interviews or be in that kind of space. Everyone sucks at everything before they're good at it. There needs to be, or hopefully can be, a place that you could cultivate that skill and then go up to Vanity Fair level. But there just kind of isn't. It's a lot. It's going to be a lot of experimentation and fucking up.
Yeah, it's like a reality star president era.
He wasn't on the red carpet for the Oscars.
Right.
This was an
exactly.
after party thing.
So it's also like, it's like, and that's the thing where I'm like, I actually don't know what the expectation is for an after party.
Right.
But because there's a step and repeat, because there's journalists, because there's like celebrities and opportunities and stuff, of course that's going to happen. I want to look something up real quick because I think that actually the Survivor man himself, Jeff Probst, was once a red carpet reporter.
Same shirt, same shorts.
When he worked on Access Hollywood, he did a Sandra Bullock interview that the people at CBS like really liked because he was able to like pull like honest like responses out of people who were used to doing like, press junket stuff. And so like that was like the thing that they were like, oh, we need that for like this show, right?
There are some great like actors that have done good voice actor performances in stuff. Voice actors have unique training for voice acting.
Yeah.
And sometimes kind of in the way that like a movie star, live action movie star, has more clout. They'll, Dwayne The Rock Johnson will get cast in the movie called like Huge Cat. Look how big this cat is. And like he'll do a shitty performance.
Huge Cat Daycare 3.
There was no others once.
Nope. The parents aren't home, so it's time to scratch the post.
Dad's knees. And it's like Kevin Hart plays left knee.
Oh shit.
Oh my God, I'm too small. And then Dwayne The Rock Johnson's a huge one. That's actually not a bad idea.
I don't think I would. Well, I definitely know I wouldn't pivot into traditional media entirely, but I wouldn't mind a vacation, like dip a toe, dip a foot.
Because I know who knows, I might really love it. I'm not confident enough.
I think it just is like a project to project basis too. It's like,
I think what I know I wouldn't do is die on an island doing Survivor. I think I'd probably. Oh my God, what is it? Naked and Alone, Afraid.
Well, there's Naked and Afraid and there's Alone, 2 different shows.
Dead and Afraid.
Alone is a great show. I highly recommend it.
That's gonna happen. It's funny.
There are so many moments that are so funny.
I do want to watch it.
It's going to be the most grim thing we've ever seen. It's like a torture video.
I'm
like,
now
it's
imagining a future dystopian reality where you don't have human camera people, and so when a show loses funding, the cameras just like turn off or something, and no one goes to claim them. And then they're like, they're out there somewhere in the woods.
Disposable.
Yeah, they're like biodegradable cameras.
So the day before the Oscars, the Rolling Stone released this interview with Jake Shane, where he talks about what he does like on his podcast or in
is this the one about how he doesn't push back because there's always going to be another interview? I saw something. I think it might be from the same thing, but it might not be this clip. Yeah.
Oh, he's at South by.
Do you ever feel like you're doing acts of journalism with your interviews, or do you feel it's a different category altogether?
I think it is insulting to journalists to say what I do is journalism.
I don't know about that.
It is, and you can clip that. So, I'm not a journalist. I didn't go to school for journalism. There are real journalists out there asking real, thoughtful, hard questions. What I am having with people is a conversation. You can say that's journalism, but it's not hard-hitting. What I do isn't hard hitting. I want to create a comfortable, friendly environment for my guests.
Do people consider things like call her daddy journalism?
I mean, they shouldn't.
Right, but because I'm like our show isn't journalism. Like, it's like I kind of am a little confused by the question at all.
Well,
does he do stuff that
no
feels like
I
journalism?
think he's mostly talking about his podcast.
I think this has happened before. This is not new because people said this to Mark Maron too. Where it's like, oh my gosh, you get so much information out of your guests. You get so much honesty and vulnerability out of your guests.
I see.
And Mark Maron was like, yeah, because I'm having a casual conversation with them.
Yeah.
I'm not a journalist. I'm not.
It's kind of because he's not a journalist.
Yeah.
Like, that's why.
Like, I'm not, I don't have a goal. I don't go in with a goal. Like, I have questions prepared, but I'm not.
Every now and again, like, it's not out yet, so I can't talk about it, but I was working on something with an investigative journalist, and I was kind of like sidecar helping them because I had some background on something. And there were a few things I was talking about in my own like little, armchair investigations. And he's like, oh, hey, that you're doing like investigative journal stuff. And I'm like, don't tell anyone that. Like, because for the same reason that Jake says here, I'm saying it. I'm like, you're giving me a compliment, which is very sweet. But like, obviously, like I am not bound to the same training, like code of ethics, like incentives.
Going back to the red carpet interview is, I think that's kind of like where the discussion is centering around is like, is that a job for a journalist or is someone like Jake Shane or like an influencer who isn't necessarily held to that same like standard.
And it sounds like historically it has been.
Well,
and
I disagree. I think that kind of job is a broadcaster job. That is not a journalism job.
Which has been bundled into, like an anchorman is now a journalist.
All of these things are being forced together because the company, Vanity Fair, doesn't want, this is why I'm like.
Vanity's in the name.
Why is Jake Shane,
and it's not fair,
being targeted when this clip, he's being very honest and forthcoming about what he does.
Because he's visible. It's like, it's so boring to like
call out Vanity Fair.
Yeah,
like,
that's not fun at all.
I think
you can't, you can't pawn them. You
it's
can't
weird.
Like, say your outfit's bad.
Like, because again, like what's the crime? Like, make sure the punishment fits the crime, right? Like, I'm like, okay, the crime is being a bit cringe.
Yeah.
So as far as I can tell, unless he's like, there's bodies hidden somewhere I don't know about.
Yeah, even the like, if I had legs, I'd kick you is not like, it's just a whiff of a joke. It's not like
it's a swing and a miss.
A painful, like, you could probably be annoying and be like, no, it's actually extremely sexy.
It is, like, and maybe sometimes you swing too hard and you hit someone behind you and you go, I'm so sorry.
Fucking shit.
I really didn't. I was trying to hit the ball.
We shouldn't sell baseball bats to anyone.
Yeah.
One person who does this kind of red carpet job and has done it for many years, like for the Met Gala and stuff like that, is Lala Anthony. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people would think of
Lala
her.
was
So this is what I'm saying.
Because I know her from the past.
A lot of people would think of her as just Carmelo Anthony's ex-wife, but she actually was in radio.
Yeah.
Was an MTV VJ.
Yeah, I know her from.
Has a long career of broadcast.
Yeah, she was like, that's so interesting because in my mind, I was like, those MTV VJs were all like journalism, as far as I know, we're all like journalism type people.
I don't know if you would even call that journalism, but you could call it broadcast.
They're video
hosters.
jockeys, but they're broadcast presenters.
Yeah.
And so it's like if you have 10,000 hours in broadcast presenting, I think you can handle the after party, the after party questions.
Can I say something controversial?
Okay.
Just
oh my God.
I was going to say I was kidding. No, I wasn't. Okay. There's always, because I'm kind of tying it up on, my thoughts on journalist, influencer, dynamic, et cetera, et cetera. I feel like a lot of the time, conversations about influencers, YouTubers, blah, 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 like, being shitty, being unethical in their content can get referred to by like, this is not journalism. And I want to give the example of Tyler Oliveira. Tyler Oliveira now exclusively publishes often racially motivated rage bait. That is explicitly now what that channel is, and many like it, right? Because it works. And people will retort that with like, well, he calls himself a journalist. No, he's not. I would argue, yes, he is. Yeah. He's just a bad person. It is not the treatment of like journalism as some kind of like paladin's crusade. Like Fox News employs a hell of a lot of fucking journalists. Journalism isn't the ethical thing. Just like, well, but the doctors took the oath. They can't illegally sell codeine. Like they can, they just shouldn't.
I feel like you said something very similar to this like many years ago. And it was like the first time that I had heard it because I was under the impression, I think the common impression that there is some sort of like hierarchy or something. But the one thing I'm curious about your take on is that there is like a journalistic code of ethics that people who are kind of card carrying journalists are beholden to, and people like Nick Shirley and Tyler Oliveira do not know exist. Yes. You know what I mean? And so like that type of thing, I tend to associate journalism with having kind of following the scientific method of learning stuff.
Yeah. It's like
diving into something.
Yeah. It's kind of like the like Andrew Huberman is a doctor.
Yeah.
But you look into it and his doctorate is in like which side is left and which side is right.
Yeah.
And like order of the alphabet. And then like he uses
like Dr. Oz is a medical doctor, but he's just corrupted.
Yes. He's like, it's all busted. And like, certainly in the case of journalism, there are lines that can be drawn around like, okay, well, did you actually get that? Are you employed by anyone? So-and-so. But words have utility. And ultimately, I would say a journalist at this point, capital J, is just somebody publishing something that's perceived as journalism.
Well, and like in our modern world, it is corrupted. Like you can't.
Yeah, they just don't care about the ethics.
I would think the majority of what we see as journalism is, or maybe not the majority, but at least half of it is like bullshit. Is corrupted.
Well, especially when you like look at like the White House press room.
Exactly.
Every month there's like a Trump calls on a journalist and they're like, I'm from I love America so much news. You know,
I'm
what
from
I mean?
Negro Reduction Times.
Yeah.
White replacement theory.
I'm from the one white media. It's like, wait, okay. I love them. They're the best.
And then a black woman just from like an established newspaper, from like the San Antonio Review goes like, I can't help but notice. And he's like, shut the fuck up, piggy. Get out of here now. Gunshot.
Or the thing in the in sports media where at the NFL press conference when the woman from Jacksonville Free Press who'd been like in the space for over 2 decades was like, hey, you should keep your head up. You guys had a good season. And people are like, this is ruining journalism. It's like, okay, sometimes we get a little self-serious.
Yeah.
But I do think that like a lot of us are trying to, you know, act in good faith and try to like kind of say, hey, maybe, you know, if we are to anoint the capital J journalism, Tyler Oliveira, no.
Yes.
And then, you know, someone on the front lines in Gaza, like absolutely.
Oh,
yeah.
I mean, I think there's definitely a.
And then those people get called terrorists. It's like what?
Actually, I'd say you're right on that, in that maybe the capital J is the difference, where it is. It's weird.
It's like news. It's like news is like, what does that even mean?
It's like the difference between like when Katy Perry went to space and people were like, well, now she's an astronaut. I'd be like, well, no, it's just that's keywords.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
lowercase a.
She was a space visitor.
Tyler Oliveira is like writing stuff down.
Yeah.
I guess that's maybe he has a notepad even.
I don't even know if he's writing stuff down.
No,
I'm being honest. He looks at you, he goes, I found the most crime. And it's this guy right here.
It happened near some Korean guys.
I'm going to befriend some KKK guys, and that's the end of the video.
Hanging out with cool guys.
Hanging out with the cool kids club, all Ks.
Dude, shut up.
On that note, Academy Awards, hit us up. We're available for next year.
I'm neutral, but I'll say whatever you want.
And I'm like late, and I turn up so drunk. I'm like, this is my podcast co-host. I'm like, did you see the Rose Byrne movie?
We're the
She's
ones
a bad
like,
mother.
Okay. Sorry about him.
We should put like a crying baby. We should put the crying baby from Are You Somebody by Aaliyah, produced by Timbaland, in the background of this entire episode. So people are like, this episode's pretty good, but the baby was very annoying.
That dude was so annoying.
The kid was so fucking annoying. So we record on Wednesdays usually, and Wednesday is Survivor night. So I've been living my life, aka since I woke up this morning, thinking like if I can just make it to Survivor. And so
you'll be a survivor,
and I'll be a survivor.
You want to make it to tribal council?
Destiny's Child. I want to make it to. Well, I don't want to go to tribal. I prefer to win immunity. But the
bad sleep is like not winning one of it. It's not getting immunity.
Bad sleep. Bad sleep is you lose the reward and you lose immunity and you're in tribal council. Which is funny that they have the idols that look not super appropriative, but they do still call it tribal council. And I wonder if they'll eventually just rename it the council. Or something like of that.
I wonder if they've just. It's kind of like how people just still say Indian.
Oh, sure.
And you're like, okay, so it's just locked. We can, even people doing land acknowledgement will be like, and this is Indian land.
Or even like American Indian versus like Native American. Like people do still say, but then again, I also, in saying that, like I default to Native American, but I don't actually know. Like I'm sure that there are some indigenous groups that prefer some terms over others. So I would obviously just defer to whatever the preference
I've
is.
definitely slipped up on like my version of being like of saying like colored has been like, I know some people don't like abbreviating to native or natives because in the same vein of like blacks, right? Where are you at with wait,
where are you at with the coloreds?
That's a yeah, have you heard about these guys?
Yeah. Well, I do. That is my Survivor clip for today is going to be related to this. I know, crazy. But anyway, what were you saying?
I was just saying, it's funny you mentioned that. I think it was after last week's episode or something, because we talked about something adjacent to it. But when I was a kid, you constantly think that being grown up is knowing all the stuff.
Oh
and
my God.
that's when you legally...
It's a huge, like, the emperor has no clothes.
Yeah.
Like, where it's like every adult actually the whole time hasn't. No one actually knows the answers to anything.
Everyone is cosplaying as the grown up, which is like, it's like a kind of like a bell curve motion where when you're a little kid, you're LARPing as an adult because you want to be grown up.
Right.
And then as you get a little older, you get all the way up and you're like, I'm just a scummy guy in his 20s. What do I fucking care? And then you get to the end and you go like, oh no, I am a grown up.
Oh,
because
that's
it is
like the Dunning-Kruger. Yeah.
Sometimes I do feel a little burdened by the like old dog, new tricks feeling where there's stuff I don't think I can learn anymore, really. I think the like neuroplasticity of early 20s gets you into like, I just don't think I'm getting a second language. I just don't think I'm going to do it.
It is easier to learn a second.
To Venezuela.
I mean, they just won the World Baseball Classic.
See?
Let's move to Venezuela.
Baseball.
I'm sorry, that's me putting in a current event from something that I kind of heard in the background.
Hey, that shit could be true.
And it is. Let's just forget whatever the thread was and let's watch the Survivor clip. Colton Tribal Council.
Is Raiden Colton?
No, actually. So, funnily enough, there's another villainous Colton in reality television.
Never name your child Colton. Apparently.
Can I ask? Sorry, quick question about it. Cody's not short for anything, right?
It's actually short for codeine.
Oh, that's so cool, DJ Codeine. I was we were playing something last night, and I turned to Peeps and I just went, "Cody's is that the whole name?"
Well,
it's
maybe
not Codias or something.
He said, I'm mad that Cody's not short for anything. What would it be?
But maybe it was a long time ago. That's often how this, like Gwen used to be Guinevere.
And
what about Gwendolyn and
Gwendolyn
Gwyneth
and stuff? And Gwyneth.
Is it not
But now
Gwyneth?
we just name people Gwen.
Nah.
Cody
retcon.
is primarily a name of Irish origin, deriving from the surname O'Quidaitai,
right,
meaning descendant of a helpful person.
I love that.
That's a really
descendant
good one.
Of a helpful person.
And you check your own name, and it's like mediocre blacksmith.
I'm pretty sure my real last name means fat. Is like a chubby person.
What?
Yeah.
My last name
that could be helpful.
means destruction or devastation.
Whoa, that's like a god name.
That's awesome. Cool,
I am Jacob of Destruction.
This does note that Cody is sometimes used as a nickname for Dakota, Kodiak, Cordell, Codell, or Coda.
Kodiak is really funny.
That's me.
Dakota is also like Cody Fanning. I loved Cody. I loved Cody Fanning in that film. I think it might be the second one. Let's look at how long that clip is.
The differences in our upbringings, you know what I mean? I've been on my own since I was 17 years old, man. Me being poor, that's just my life.
So, Colt, tell me about where you come from.
Alabama. I mean, I live in a town of 3,000 people. And yes, I did go to a private, like, all-white school. But I do have, like, African-American people in my life.
Who?
My housekeeper.
Sorry. It's awesome.
I do have one.
I've
had one.
Wait,
for a
look
while.
look at Sam Elliott's facial expression. Like,
look, I'm a cowboy from the late 1700s, and even I
know that's cringe.
That's a little weird.
I'm not even from this town, and this sort of bigotry is.
That's a yikes from me, partner.
This is such a testament to how good Jeff is at his job. Like, he is very good at, like, very basically pulling out.
Oh yeah, Jeff does have Jeff actually has a little zinger in here. We can hit play.
That's so great. Well, and also kudos to him for not being like, what the fuck?
That she's like a member of our family. Like, she's
paid member.
Yes. I mean, you know, yeah, she doesn't work for free. But I don't have a problem with Bill because of his race at all. The problem I have with Bill is that he's poor, pitiful me. I'm poor. Like, I don't associate with people like that in the real world. And I'm sure as hell not going to associate with people like that out here.
I thought he was going to say, my problem with Bill is that he's poor. And then he didn't, and then he did.
Yeah.
It's like, he's like, oh, poor,
no, my problem
pitiful
isn't.
me, I'm poor. Okay.
My problem isn't that Bill is black. It's that he's poor and urban.
Right. And his race also?
And he's black.
Yes, that ties into it.
Also, what does that have to do with this show and being on this island and working together?
I know, it should be here. You care about it less.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give you guys shot, chaser, okay?
Oh.
So the shot is Bill does get eliminated after all of this.
No.
What the fuck, right? And then Colton unceremoniously quits the show after faking appendicitis. And then returns in a future season where he quits on episode 4.
Wait.
And so
when he's faking appendicitis and they buy it,
he thinks there's something wrong with his stomach, and they're like, we can't look any further into this. And so if they have to take you off site, then you're technically medevaced. But I will, if the judge will allow it, I have another clip. If you search that clip that says Colton quits again, Jeff hates quitters. And,
yes, that is his one sin.
He does like a little bit lay into him and brings up the other time as well.
I'm kind of shocked they let him come back, actually.
Well, so I think it's because he was good content in that he was a horrible person. He was a horrible person who would transparently say horrible things.
Yeah. Do you think that's just like, do you think it's because he's from Alabama and is just like a heterosexual dude that's like just kind of like a sexist bigot, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, because he's lived like, he's not hiding anything, you know what I mean?
He reminds me of...
he's not closeted, by the way. I think he is out as a gay man.
Just in Alabama and a racist. Wow, he's dual wielding.
He feels like a stereotype from a cartoon of a Southern man being like, this flower is a Wilton.
Yeah, exactly.
Drinking like a really warm lemonade out on a porch.
If I'm out too much in the sun, my skin might look like theirs.
If I were to hate them in my own domicile, then I most likely hate them here on the beach, where I need the help.
There's nothing that a mint julep can't solve.
That guy at the top left's cool. That's a cool
He's your
guy.
type.
That's me.
I don't want to be here anymore at all.
Fair enough.
And I'm sorry.
Meaning what? Meaning you're quitting again?
Don't quit, Colton. I can't do that.
So, Colt, you came back for a second time because you said, I've changed, I've grown, and I want to show everybody. You're now doing the exact opposite.
I don't care about this tribe.
Well, his ancestors?
A very selfish move.
Well,
admittedly, a selfish...
Admittedly.
but maybe it's the best one for me.
Is that how it goes, Colton? If things don't go your way, let's just stop.
Maybe. I don't know.
So, Colt, are you quitting this game?
Yeah.
Okay, you are out of the game.
Here's the thing. My worst estimation of myself, because we've talked before about would we do this show, right? Worst estimation of myself is that is what I'm afraid will happen, is that best case scenario, the world becomes aware of my complete inability to be uncomfortable. Worst case scenario is I do completely crumble and electively leave. Because I think there would be, Dunning-Kruger style, I would be like, yeah, I'd probably like, right now I'm like, part of me is like, yeah, I'd probably like swim out, catch a shark, cook it or something, you know?
Yeah.
Probably
that does
pull a coconut apart with my hands, I guess. And then I get there and like, the water's freezing.
Yeah.
This bed sucks.
You get there and it's like, they don't have AC. What the hell is this?
Oh, I slept so bad.
It is a little bit like, there's like nowhere, like there's no shelter and I have to make it. There's no fire and I have to make it.
There's doing one of the challenges where I have to go through the sand. I'm like, can I go around it, Jeff? Can I jump over it, please?
That's why you have to go with
Jordan's
me.
asking to be cheating on the challenge.
Jordan,
this is embarrassing.
Weeping again, huh? No.
Jordan's weeping. That is not going to help the tribe. He's supposed to be spelling the word with these blocks challenge, and he's written boom, boom.
I don't know where he got any of those.
I don't know where he got any of these letters. He might be a dumb boy.
I brought them from home. It's kind of like when you have like a friend that's really, really chill that like maybe you grew up with or something, and then you see them together for a few years, and you're like, oh, you're super religious. Like there's just like a thing that you never were exposed to, but then you go like, yeah, it's messed up, like this Roe v. Wade stuff. And you're like, I never really agreed with abortion. You're like, we've opened a door.
Why is that bad? And there's a lot of,
hey, man, everybody's good, everyone's fine. You're like, I'm quitting. Like, you should be.
Don't look up the politics of any Survivor players. I just stay in the zone, auto zone.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Well, it's like it's like family Thanksgiving. Just don't bring it up.
Yeah. When Jeff is laying into him, he says also, that makes 2 times you quit. Last time you quit, you said it was appendicitis. We found out it wasn't appendicitis.
Oh, they did find out later.
Yeah. And so, and then Colton goes like, they didn't know what it was. I got treated for like a bacteria or something like that. And then, but like Jeff just keeps going. And I'm like, yes, Jeff is laying into this person unnecessarily, but given that they're a bigot,
I think it's also, it maybe is necessary for this setup because it's like you are screwing kind of the whole thing up because
it does, that type of shit does piss me off because it fucks up it like completely fucks over like other people's games. You're a part of alliance. Like it's why when someone gets injured, it's really bad. Like, oh, they were on all these alliances, this, that, and the other thing. They had the numbers on their side of the tribe. And now through no fault of their own, someone has to be removed. And so that it messes up the numbers of the voting game.
It's like the difference between like texting a friend being like, I can't make it tonight, I'm sorry, with just a general hangout going to a bar or something versus a fancy dinner reservation.
Right. Where they had to prepay or something like that. Yeah.
And it's just like, I would never do Survivor for that reason because I don't have the stamina, certainly. But I also am hesitant to say yes to fancy dinner reservations because I don't have that kind of stamina.
I will push through my normal discomforts if I've committed to something where, unless it's like really serious, where it would significantly inconvenience everyone else or put someone out.
That's been honest, and also sometimes, you know what? Push through the barrier, worth it for the experience.
Yeah, exactly.
And also when it's good friends, worst thing that happens is you're tired, right?
What's the top comment? I assume people love him?
Yeah, something normal, I would imagine.
I wish I could do Survivor.
I think maybe you could.
I would love doing Survivor.
Please bring Colton back so we can quit for a third time. We can see Jeff's reaction to a third quit.
Like maybe like that's also they're like, hey, if we bring him back and he quits again, it's gold when Jeff gets mad.
Guys, stop leaving hate comments about Colton. I'm tired of liking them all. There's another fun thing about Colton, which is technically he has played twice and never been voted out.
Amazing.
Oh, he's the greatest player of all time.
He's the greatest player of all time.
The greatest loser in history. Yeah, I really do think I would give up. I'm sorry. I'm suddenly confronting my own.
Yeah, you're really going through something.
I'm rotating myself in my mind.
actually don't. It's possible that I would give up. It's possible, like in a panic, maybe like sort of type situation. I think I would also. I would like work myself to exhaustion and just kind of die.
Yes.
I think I would create a situation where I actually pass out and die on camera.
That's the thing. I think,
and then that way is the way that I can avoid the shame of quitting.
Yes. I think when I think of give up, I'm thinking spiritual absence.
Right.
And still trying at the challenges, but like truly, HUD is flashing red, 1 HP. I move slower.
Oh yeah, you've got like poison damage every time you walk. You go ding 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 ding.
I mean, maybe I just get voted out. It was like, yeah, Jordan, been a relatively nice hang. The fact that you're not on any of your medication and not sleeping correctly, you've gotten a little weird. And I'm like wearing someone else's skin and a bone hat.
There is, when you want to quit too, there's a fun thing you can do, which is play like an absolute maniac. Because you could like
Joker.
Kind of make it so that people want to vote you out. But then sometimes people do that and they end up going really far.
So easy to forget how much time is passing in. Every second is a second long. And that's a sentiment that like, I think people forget when they apply probably for a show like Survivor, or maybe not Survivor because there's such a culture around it, but when everyone applies for like Love is Blind, people go like, yeah, then there's that, and then there's a party that you go to, and then you're at a party, and then you go to the reunion. It's like, nope, you live with them for every second out of a minute.
There's a player I saw a clip of an interview with who was not a big like fan favorite or anything, and they didn't get eliminated. They didn't make it to like the late game, but they were like a presence. And someone asked them if they wanted to play again, and they were like, no, because it's boring. And what they meant was that the time that you're not playing a challenge, strategizing, doing all those things, you are just sitting there with nothing to fucking do.
With no one you chose to be friends with.
No.
There is I think every now and then in Survivor, I think one of the ones we watched, something spontaneous happens, but for context, they had like 30 seconds of chat beforehand, and it really was them going like, is that vines you got there? Like, yeah, it's from the jungle.
There's one where one of the guys, I think his name is Charlie, he's on season 50, super like big Taylor Swift fan. And then there's another guy on his original season where they just go back and forth naming. One guy is a fan of Metallica and the other's a fan of Taylor Swift. And they just they try to see how many Metallica and Taylor Swift songs they can list back to back.
Well, now you know
That's a road trip game right there.
Bubba named all the shrimp stuff. Do you know from Forrest Gump?
Whoa.
Do you know
Sorry.
what I'm talking about?
That, I feel like it hit me like a gust of wind. Like, I'm not at my sharpest today, but there was something that like each syllable was caught, it like cut my ear and then my knee.
From the shrimp.
And I'm like, I know everything you're saying, and I assume you're talking about Forrest Gump. But it was like
That's why Bubba named all those shrimp.
It was like you cast a hex.
I'm like, what did he do?
I have sat in a boat waiting for a jaguar to come out, and I think it's fun. Your mind goes blank. You're just looking at a tree.
You were in Africa.
Oh, well, this was actually in Brazil. But in Africa, I was sat in a car waiting for a cheetah to come out.
And that's why Bubba Gump gumbled his. That's why Bubba Gump Brian Gumble his Bubba Gump, and he named all 101 of his Dalmatians.
I shouldn't have had ayahuasca coffee.
Yeah,
I'm meeting God and experiencing ego death by Anastasia anecdotes.
We're gonna head over to Boyz Nightz where we're gonna have some yucks. We're gonna play some games. We're gonna mog some frames and vibe out.
Yeah. Oh, is that okay?
Would you mind? I think Clavicular is doing American Psycho stuff.
It's the natural order
It'll
of
be
things.
fun to watch that.
That's awesome. That's just like, I think the sun is setting.
And I'm setting my sun dial for going to patreon.com/sadboys and get Boyz Nightz for the low price of $5 a month, and you get all the episodes.
Ollie's grumbling.
Ollie's growling because you haven't signed up yet.
Oh, you don't want to make Ollie angry. We end every episode of Sad Boys with a particular phrase.
We love you.
And we're sorry.
See you around.
See you at 11.
Jive turkey.
News at night. Sad Boys News at night.
Gucci girl, Gucci Gucci girl, how you doing? How you moving, girl? Moving, girl. How's your day looking? That future girl, yeah, we on now. Take my money, go away, all you want it. Girl, too rich for me.